The Lord's Prayer, 6th petition, and lead us not into temptation. In his explanation to this petition, Martin Luther identifies 3 kinds of temptation. The first 2 are temptations rooted in our flesh, and temptations that come from living in the world. It's easy to see these temptations at work in our lives. And yet there's a third, more serious temptation. This one comes from the devil. 2 well-known Bible stories deal with this temptation: Adam and Eve's encounter with the serpent in the Garden of Eden, and the story of Jesus' encounter with the devil in the wilderness. Both stories tell of the devil's attempt to put a wedge between God's word of promise and those being tempted. For Adam and Eve, the devil's approach came in the form of a question: did God really say? Well, in the wilderness, the devil tempted Jesus to put God to the test, to challenge God and see if he would come through in a pinch. The devil is the crafty one, the father of lies. His temptations are more subtle and sneakier than the others. They are also the most destructive. They're sneaky because the devil makes the questions and challenges seem like strengths and virtues, but listen carefully. They're really an attack on faith. Need an example? You may have heard that you can't have true faith without a little doubt, or that doubt is part of faith. That's actually the beginning of the devil's wedge. It's the beginning of the temptation to doubt God and his promise for you. When things come between you and that promise, the wedge goes further and further until you're left in despair and hopelessness, literally left without faith. In his explanation to this petition, Luther echoes the book of James. God tempts no one to sin. That doesn't mean we won't experience temptation and attacks from the devil as Christians, but God provides the counter to these attacks: faith in the promise of Christ. Therefore, Jesus commands us to pray these words as he removes the wedges between you and his promise. Sin, death, and the devil do not and will not have the final victory. Jesus has already won that final victory for you. And so he says it himself: I have said these things to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world. This is most certainly true.